United States has lost or suffered major damage to at least 42 military aircraft during the 40-day Operation Epic Fury. That's right, against Iran. According to a U.S. Congressional report that has revealed shocking details, it says that the Congressional Research Service compiled from Pentagon and CENTCOM statements detailed the following equipment losses. This includes 24 MQ-9 Reaper drones and 1 MQ-4C Triton, 4 F-15E Strike Eagles, 1 F-35A Lightning II and 1 A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft. Additionally, 7 KC-135 and A-3 Sentry AWACS, 2 MC-130Js and 1 HH-60W helicopters were also lost in the Operation Epic Fury. The report also noted that the Department of Defense had not released comprehensive assessments of combat losses during the operation. Reacting to the report, Seyed Abbas Araghchi said that the U.S. Congress had acknowledged the loss of dozens of aircraft worth billions of dollars during the conflict. In a post on X, Araghchi stated that months after initiation of war on Iran, U.S. Congress acknowledged loss of dozens of aircraft worth billions. He further claimed that Iran's armed forces were the first to shoot down an F-35 fighter aircraft. And to discuss more on this, I am being joined by Major General Sudhakarji, defense and geopolitical experts. Major General, my first question to you is, how do you think that Iran was capable and was able to shot down Reaper drones for the US? Like a big loss, 42 aircraft is not a small thing to lose in a war with a country like Iran.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nancy. Thank you for inviting me for your show. And a brilliant question you have raised. First and foremost thing is that Iran had been underestimated by both the USA and Israel to start with. When they planned the offensive, they had initially thought that the offensive would be over within 4 to 6 days, and they kept on revising the time because they didn't know the actual capability of Iran. Second point that I wish to highlight is one needs to go deeper into the issue of after 1979 revolution. There are series of sanctions which were imposed on Iran. In a way, I would say that actually pushed Iran to a corner, compelling it to go absolutely indigenous. And that is what actually made Iran so capable in manufacturing lethal warheads by its own effort within the country without any outside support. And people in the process, they lost count of the missile development capability. They had started manufacturing missiles from 84, 85. But in the open source, if you check up the Wikipedia and other open sources, they will keep reflecting only 3,000 missiles when the conflict started on 28th of February 2026. I have been harping on multiple channels that please do not neglect or do not ignore the old missiles which Iran is to make at the rate of 30 missiles per month in a year, 360 missiles from 84, 85, and you minus the attrition that would have happened. So coming to the issue regarding the question which you have raised,
Right.
that is bringing down a Reaper, killing so many aircrafts, 42 aircraft. How did they do? And particularly F-35. F-35 has never been hit by any countermeasure or any defensive measure or air defense system anywhere in the world. It's for the first time that Iran has done it. So out here, I would say that it is Iran is not alone. The electromagnetic spectrum, the cyberspace, and the space, these three paradigms have added on to the domains of land, sea, and air, which is to exist prior to 28th of February as far as Iran was concerned. And I would say, to large an extent, China and Russia have come to the rescue. In saying so, what I mean to highlight is that firstly, the target selection, accurate intelligence, number two, tracking the target, and detection of the target, tracking the target, and thereafter engaging the target. In all probability, I personally feel the electromagnetic spectrum and the cyber capability of Russia and China have come very handy. And they are the ones which are instrumental in bringing down these aircrafts, which otherwise wouldn't have been possible. And more than that, Russia's S series of air defense platforms which are existing in Iran, call it 300, maybe a couple of 400s are there. they also have been instrumental in bringing down these aircrafts and aerial platforms very effectively,
Right.
thereby showing the real capability of defense of Iran to America as also Israel. Back to you, Nancy.
Well, Major General, the America's lost at this moment stands at 42 aircrafts. Do you think that America was planning a possible ground invasion in Iran? Because the military deployment that we have seen from the United States, it looks like that they were planning for more than just aerial strikes.
Absolutely. Nancy, firstly, you have to start from the real objective they had. Firstly, America did not have an objective to start with,
Right.
neither political nor military. In hindsight, they have been trying to frame some kind of objective, and unfortunately, they're getting mixed up. Political objective is the end state
Right.
before you go in for a conflict. That is the political objective will always have political overtone, whether you're going to leave behind a stable government or unstable government, likewise. A military objective will be, reducing the capability of nuclear arsenal or the missile capability, likewise. So they did not have any objective, but in the heart of their heart, they're targeting for the regime change
Right.
without stating it in bold letter. No regime change can ever take place without boots on ground. No regime change because the aerial capability or a bombardment by the aircraft
Right.
can only devastate, can only destroy the infrastructure. But what if the troops on the ground are not there? Who is going to carry out the physical capitulation or
Right.
consolidation of the areas which are being bombarded by the aircraft, by artillery, by missiles? Therefore, you have to have troops on ground. So when you make in your question like the answer, I tend to agree with you. Although they had no objective, stated objective, but since they had the inner desire of carrying out regime change per force would have demanded troops on ground.
Right.
And the troops on ground, why it got belied or defeated was they could not comprehend that the size of the country was so huge. It is such a civilizational country. They had Venezuela in the back of the mind. A couple of days back only, they had a success, thumping success, overnight operation, 3rd of January. By 4th or 5th, everything was hunky dory. Maduro was flying to USA, and likewise. They thought perhaps Iran also would be a cakewalk, like the way they had Venezuela. They never realized that they would have such a huge arsenal and inventory of missiles. They would have such a huge network of IRGC. They would have a mosaic system of defense or security. They would have the Bajis forces. They would have the coastal batteries, coastal missile system, anti-shipping missiles. They also would be in possession of the capability based on the electromagnetic spectrum and the cyber. Because both these things have been, to the best of my knowledge and research, have been actually supported by Russia has come overboard. They have openly admitted that they are the ones who have been supporting. They are supporting now. They will continue to support Iran. China is going, absolutely in a covert manner. And I have got reasons to believe that the railway line connecting Tehran with Beijing over a distance of 10,400 kilometers.
Right.
It traverses over a time period of 14 odd days, passes through multiple countries, through Central Asia. People have lost sight. The primary mainstream media has not spoken enough about the railway line. That is the line which has been operationalized from 2022-23. They have been carrying out trading activities. They have been actually moving lots of huge military hardware coming into Iran in a clandestine manner without raising the eyes and ears. And they also have been employing, they're called as the ghost ships, and they're called as gray ships also.
Right.
The shipping fleet are the ones which are decaying, they are old, the transponders can be switched off, the flags can be changed. These are the vessels which are being used firstly to supply crude to China and also carry out transshipment somewhere east of Singapore in some Malaysian island and can bring back the military hardware which are being transshipped into this kind of ships back into the waters of Persian Gulf and into the ports of Iran. So there is a massive network which has been going on. We have lost sight of. Otherwise, Iran by itself would have been not possible to actually bring down so many aircraft, so many aerial platforms in such a short time, that too with very accurate precision, because it requires satellite coverage. It requires, guidance system. In guidance system of a missile, you have initial lock-in data, you have a mid-course correction, you have a terminal guidance system. So all the three can be possible only if you have all-weather, overlapping, integrated satellite coverage. And without that, it is simply not possible. Iran's space plan as of now, space program, is in a very, very initial stage. However, the other missiles, hypersonic capability
Right.
and all, they are in a very advanced stage.
Right.
Plus, they have applied the doctrine of asymmetric deterrence. Asymmetric deterrence is raising the cost of winning a war
Right.
for USA and Israel to so high level that it has virtually become prohibitive. Back to you.